up? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Comic Cave. My name is Chris, and I'm here with my hetero life mate, Mr.
Russ.
What's going on, Russ? I hope you guys have had a great time. Comic Cave, episode 2, the second coming for the reboot, because we rebooted last time. But I hope you guys are doing okay. Russ, what have you been up to?
Man, we just recorded that other episode a couple days ago, right?
We did, yeah.
Since then,
from you guys, and it's out now on YouTube and Instagram. Follow us at Instagram, Comic Cave Podcast, and YouTube, Comic Cave Podcast, and I think Facebook, right?
Facebook and Instagram, Comic Cave Podcast, everything one word, very simple. And yeah, I would hope that the first episode is still up.
Like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends, tell your grandmothers, tell your friends. We're all coming.
Yeah.
But so this episode is titled The Second Coming. So we want to talk more kind of what we touched upon last episode about, like the FCC regulations and stuff like that, how static, and do we even need an FCC in comic books, video games, or I know in movies?
The FCC touches on all types of entertainment,
right?
Radio, music, as you said, comics and video games, which actually I didn't even think about the video game.
Yeah, I mean, too much. Because of Mortal Kombat back in 92 or 91.
Yeah, and Mortal Kombat gets gruesome. So.
Back, I remember that was my lifetime. I remember back in that day, blood and gruesome and all of the other stuff. And you go back to the Atari days with Custer's Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Little shout out, that's deep cuts right there. But Russell, what do you think the FCC? I know you had some thoughts on it last time, so let's recap on that.
Recap. So yeah, if you checked out our last episode, we talked a little bit about how Static got censored for a cover that he had where he was holding condoms and paraphernalia on the cover, and DC, who has a partnership with Milestone, told them not to run that cover, and they ended up trying to run it anyways, caused kind of a rift between the two. But the reason why they told them to not run it is because of the rules with FCC, and to me, it's definitely weird that they would have an issue with that. Well, not weird, because again, regulations, they're going to get fined, they're going to tell them not to do these things, or not be able to run anything at all. But at the end of the day, I really feel like the FCC has too many regulations, and that it's more detrimental to society than it is actually even helping. Back in the day, we talked about this a little bit with Green Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
He had the cover with, this was back in the 70s.
Speedy.
He had the cover with Speedy.
He was doing drugs, he put a shit up, and then Green Arrow's, what are you doing?
Yeah, came in with Green Lantern, actually. They both, because they used to have all types of partnerships and stuff. So it's wild to think that from the 70s into just literally like less than 10 years later, FCC started coming in with all these rules and like, hold on, your audience is too young for this, you can't handle it. And yeah, really, it's just, I feel like a lot of kids, that's where they were getting the exposure to this type of stuff, and that's how they were getting their education. Not saying that parents and schools don't also teach, but even now in today's society, let's be perfectly honest, the parents don't teach as much to their kids as they once did. They kind of leave it up to the schools to teach, but then the schools are now hitting these regulations and stuff like that on what they can kind of like teach, and it's just, where are kids getting this education from?
I mean, devil's advocate, they have
the internet.
They have the world in their hands, and they can look up these things, and net neutrality. I can't. I'm all 6s and 7s today. But yeah, I mean, kids learn it from this, whether it be porn or something. I mean, let's face it, when we were kids, we looked at our dad's Playboy stack, and we looked at our father's, Playboy videos. That's how I learned anyway.
Right.
I'm pretty sure there are other people out there who learn the same way, but kids are going to be kids, teenagers are going to be teenagers, they're going to look it up no matter what.
Yeah, but they're going to find this type of stuff, but that stuff is not a real representation of how they should be acting and all that type of stuff. Like, not to get super personal, but yeah, I have family members and neighbors and stuff that are teachers, and the stuff that they're dealing with some of these kids coming in, like, being perfectly honest, like little girls not even understanding that they have the respect to be able to tell their boyfriends, no, I don't want to do this.
Thank you, Harley Quinn.
Yeah, and they looking up to that's a whole other thing. Why are girls looking up to Harley Quinn right now?
Well, right now she's a positive role model because she broke away from Joker, and she's her own woman, and she's independent. And
I see that she's becoming more independent, but yeah, you look at her actual history, and that's just a current thing. If a girl, kid, guy, whatever is getting into this hero vigilante, she's not a hero, but I wouldn't even say she's a vigilante. I won't even say she's an anti-hero.
She just is
at this
like
point.
Punisher. Punisher's an anti-hero, right?
What would you call her? Chaotic neutral.
No, because now she's good.
Is she?
I mean,
I don't know. But yeah, if they're gonna go look up this history of her and they're gonna see this whole line of her being abused by the Joker and not really being her own individual and all that type of stuff.
But see, you said on the last episode where you like story arc like that, where the character grows. So that's a form of her growing.
Oh yeah, no,
from
absolutely.
being the Joker's slave to her being, what, I need you.
She's definitely getting more character development now.
Speaking of Joker slave, I am not fully 100 up on the stuff right now, but I know he has a new girlfriend or new sidekick.
Yeah, they got the punchline.
Right, and she's playing a big part in the Joker War. No, the Three Jokers.
Joker War.
Yeah, she's playing like a big part in the Joker War. So kind of excited to see how that is. But going back to the FCC, I mean, I think.
But they block so much. It's not even just you can't limit it to just comics. Like look at Eminem has like a whole song about it. FCC won't let me be.
Yeah.
You can't. It's and comedians. This is something that comedians have been fighting for a very long time right now. You're censoring their content. It's freedom of speech and yeah.
What did you call it? Art, freedom of art, expression.
Yeah, it's freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and.
I mean, if the FCC was around back when Michelangelo did David, they'd be like, no, you gotta cover up his penis. Right. But that was art. It still is art.
Right. And
so the FCC, I think the FCC, and this is before our time. Elvis.
Right.
Back in the day. Because parents would see like, oh, I don't want my kid exposed to that.
Exposed to all this, right? And yeah, as my point to it,
like there has to be a regulation,
You said you had a counterpoint to it. Like I do get the concept of some things being a little like you don't want to just like full blown on the cover, but Static wasn't like naked on the cover or anything like that. He was holding condoms. Like that's just. Would you rather a kid see his favorite superhero about to lay pipe without condoms, or would you rather him be like, oh? He's wearing condoms. I want to wear condoms.
That's true. No, you got a good point. Let me ask you this: since you read manga, are they more free, or you haven't read manga like that?
No. So yeah, there's some wild stuff. It depends on what you're kind of looking at. So
tentacle porn.
I wasn't gonna go that far, but like if you look at a comic or a manga like Gantz, that's if you're familiar with what that is, that's extremely gruesome, extremely. Risque. There's women tits out while they're dying. They're fighting these aliens that also turn into like women and dudes literally having sex with like these aliens and showing the whole war side of stuff where they capture certain aliens towards the end of the series and they rape them.
And kids read manga like that over there all the time.
Oh yeah, but then on the flip side of that, you do have regulations and stuff over there. So like. Dragon Ball has become extremely corporate at this point. Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah.
Before
has he become like Disney, like Super Mario Brothers?
Well, they don't allow blood as much in the comics anymore. Whereas if you go back and look at the original Dragon Ball series, you saw Bulma's tits and ass and all of that in a couple. It was taken as jokes and stuff like that. But all of that eventually kind of weaned out. Yeah. Dragon Ball Z still had like some stuff here and there. They still had at least had the blood. But now you're into Super and it's become a very corporate, family-friendly type of deal. And yeah, they've gotten rid of the blood. They've gotten rid of a lot of that. So there's still different sides.
Would you say Americanized?
Just corporate. I'm not necessarily going to say Americanized.
Well, because I asked you that because I asked you like, yeah, and I do see in Europe over there, they're more lenient towards their stuff. Even in everyday commercials, you see naked women, you see people like that. They don't really, it doesn't really bother them that much. So that's why I'm like, hey, does it really matter, or does it really? In Europe, they kind of lean in. Are we here to say that the Europeans are better than the Americans? Not my America, but go ahead.
But no, you had a point saying that you thought that it was kind of.
Yeah, it's necessary because I don't have kids yet, but if I were to have kids, I wouldn't. I don't want my 5-year-old reading like Batman's all bloodied and bruised or like
I get you, but at
that's why we have the DC Black Label, I guess, right?
Right, but at that point, I feel like it is up to the parents to kind of censor that for them and explain it to them, like this isn't right, or no, I don't want you exposed to this just yet. But as you get older, there's other age groups that are gonna want to read
Right,
all that
of course,
stuff.
yeah,
And you should be a little
that's,
bit more exposed to it.
Like I'm 33, and Batman's been in my life since I was 5 years old.
Right.
Obviously, when I was a kid, yeah, I love Batman, and I love the Batman Adventures, the animated series. But now that I'm older, and I don't know why DC or Marvel or anyone doesn't do this, you can make content for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But why not make content for the grown-ups who grew up with this? Like, I would love to see a rated R Batman. We saw the Joker, but
well, some comics are growing with their audience, so to speak.
Like they have the Black Label,
right?
And I don't know if Marvel has. Well, Marvel's owned by Disney. I don't know if they're gonna have something like that or not. But still, I'm at an age where I'm like, you know what? I'd love to see the Joker really dig into someone, or I want to see the
more realistic
acid,
of his,
yeah,
as of how he would be in real life,
right?
If he was real.
And I think if they were to make a rated R Batman movie, it would have to be from The Dark Knight Returns.
It's just and just with all these regulations though, I don't think that they would do that with a mainstream superhero. Like they might do that again with like the Joker. We got that rated R. But they're not going to sit there and do that with a Batman, a Superman, Spider-Man, or anything like that.
Well, no, not with Superman, because he doesn't.
No, I understand. But I'm just saying with any of these
Well, Batman is,
But even with like Spider-Man or I'm sorry, I'm not as good with Marvel as
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, the Punisher, there was the...
that stuff is dark. Like, you had Gwen Stacy die, actually snap her neck, and we kind of got that a little bit in that Amazing Spider-Man
Daredevil.
too,
We had the Netflix series, which I thought was great. All 3 seasons of Daredevil. I never got around to seeing Iron Fist.
You didn't miss anything on that one.
Right, that's what everyone keeps telling me. But we saw Luke Cage. They were great. Those shows were for my age group, my age demographic.
Right. But the thing is, the kids are going to recognize these characters and want to watch them too. So that's why, I don't think that we're really going to get that.
But see, that's the thing. We never really saw a blowback from the Netflix series because, parents, they do. I think it has to deal with what I think, because you're right. It's a very conservative view of saying like the parents have to be more involved. You're 100% correct.
Right.
But as we all know, because we all did it too, whenever our parents left for work or left the house, we'd flip on to Skinamax. We'd watch HBO to see, hey, what's going on there. So, like I said, that's why they have parental controls
but
now.
We didn't get all messed up, majority speaking, and I just feel like that's why the FCC is like really overstepping this stuff. Again, I get the kind of concept behind it, but I feel like it's too much. It's taking away, from a way that kids do learn about this stuff.
But I do like your take on it, because it's like, yes, kids, they're not really programmable, but I believe
they
like,
understand.
Right.
Let's not be unrealistic. Like a kid still has a conscience and still understands a lot more than we like to think that they do.
I mean, look at back in the 80s and 90s. We had Batman, Ninja Turtles. We had that
A lot of that was gruesome. Ninja Turtles originally was pretty gruesome too.
No, but I'm saying we had like Ninja Turtles. We had Batman. We had all these other characters from the 90s. Creating these PSAs saying, hey kids, don't smoke, don't do drugs, don't do that stuff. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like if you were to reach a kid demographic, you'd use characters from like Fortnite or Minecraft or something.
Like that,
the one that are popular now.
Right.
Ninja Turtles back in the day, Batman was popular.
Deadpool.
Super
popular right now.
Right. But I feel like, to reach the kids, Fortnite or something, or what's the other one? Apex. I don't know. I'm not the big person. But I'm saying today's popularity, TikTok. Why don't they make a TikTok PSA saying, because every kid watches TikTok. Hey kids, don't do drugs, or if you see someone doing drugs, or 222 tips, or Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois. 60652, and think about it.
A lot of schools still have like that DARE program though, and all that.
Right, but it's not as prominent as it was back when we were kids.
I feel you.
Right, and so I feel like I said, we had Saturday morning cartoons, and on those Saturday morning cartoons would be the PSAs. They would run the PSAs, or they would run the television shorts saying, hey kids, or remember that girl from back in the day where she was like, this is an egg. Now this is your egg on drugs. And she went crazy and everything like that.
Right.
And that I'm 33. That came out when I was like 5-6 years old.
Right.
So that's burned in my head.
You remember that.
So that doesn't exist anymore, where kids are warned not to do drugs. Yeah, you have the DARE program, but like I said, it was in our cartoons. It was in every cereal boxes. I remember eating some Cheerios and like "Don't Do Drugs" or whatever, our Dare program. You know, that line didn't come into play.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just back in the time, 70s, like each era, so to speak, has a different drug that they're like
Reaganomics, don't do drugs.
Like right now, I feel like kids we're more worried about them like popping pills and things like that.
Right. Oh, and also they see, and this has been a thing forever. You know, kids, monkey see, monkey do. You're gonna see a dude pop a pill or something, and
right.
You know, one of your favorite people pop a pill, and then I wonder how that tastes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a kid anymore, so I don't really know how it works today. All I can do is
I feel like having a comic like that Green Arrow comic, though, like I don't feel like that would be negative. I feel like that's speaking against it. That's still helpful. So, like, what? Yeah, man. Do you know exactly how the FCC started?
Because of music, I think.
Because radio of music as well.
Radio too, yeah. FCC started radio because you had all these. There was a Theater of the Mind shows where it would have like The Shadow and stuff, but that was like way back in the 30s. But yeah, FCC really took off, I want to say, in like the 90s, because that's when it really took off. That's when
I feel like it still came in the 80s, but yeah, no, it was definitely rampant, and like more and more regulations were coming out throughout the 90s and stuff.
Right. But no, yeah, the FCC to regulate, and I want to say politicians and lobbyists were the reason why, because they would...
It became a political thing.
Right, big time.
Right.
They would see the suburbia, I don't want my kid listening to that. Once again, in the 90s with rap, gangster rap and all this other, I don't want my kids.
I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but you shelter these kids from these things, then they're going to have no way of knowing the effects of them. They're going to have no way of, when they do see it, I feel like it's the reversed psychology of all of this. Like, parents can absolutely like agree to this. You tell your kid not to do something, they're going to want to do it more.
We did it. We've done it. It's
right. Like we all been through that. So it's just
don't put your finger in that socket, and we do it.
I feel like if you make it more accessible and make it more of not more accessible. I'm sorry, but if you bring the education side out of it and just make it more understood and not as taboo, then kids are gonna they're gonna learn from it a little bit more. And
what I'm trying to understand is what is the big deal of seeing Static with a condom? Now, you said you had other paraphernalia.
If you look at on the couch, there was like a brown paper bag. Who knows what was in the brown paper bag? We would assume Mary Jane. But like, it's yeah.
And he's like, what, 17, 18 now?
Yeah, he was, in that time, he was about 17.
So, teenager.
Which is, normal when kids would be getting into all that.
And I hate to say normal because it's a different time, and I know smoking marijuana now is like nothing because it's legal now in some states.
Right.
Back 20 years ago, that did not exist. It was recreation. It was medicinal, but not recreational how it is now.
Right.
So, but what kid doesn't smoke marijuana these days? I mean, let's be real. Honestly, let's be real. Like, what kid? What
religious kids?
Don't get me started on that. But yeah, so. I mean, what kid doesn't know about recreational drugs? We don't want them to do it, but like I said, we've been there, we've done that. We're gonna try it out.
I mean,
I'm not promoting to do drugs, kids.
Yeah, no. Let's recap real fast. We are not saying do this stuff. We just feel that, or really, I feel that comics, movies, television, radio, music, all of these things were just. It was a way that people learned about this. It was a way that kids got their education, because again, let's be real, parents are kind of teaching less and less at the house. They want to leave it more up to the schools. Like that's something. This
is the new babysitter.
But
when we were kids, it was television.
Something that I hear teachers complain about a lot is the fact that parents will come in and be like, "Why'd you let my kid do this? Why is my kid into this? Oh no, my kid's an angel. It couldn't be that or whatever," and they're in denial about these things. And again, I feel like it's getting worse and worse instead of being better, which is what the FCC was trying to do.
I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think.
But everything seems like it's getting worse and worse because it seems like there's more accessibility to stuff because of the internet. But I mean, it's not like a kid's going to be able to order weed off the internet or something like that. They still have to. Well, yeah, they still have to, they would still have to go out and do something stupid to get that stuff. But
But I mean, and you know what's funny? So there was this one. I don't know if you remember it or not. There was this one PSA back in the '90s where they highlighted doing marijuana, and it was a pretty popular one. It was, I think, one that was made by, I know some Disney characters were in it. Turtles were in it.
Yeah,
DuckTales.
There was a whole TV show on it, or
Right,
like
that
special.
was- that was
I know
the
what you're
one.
talking about. They had a like Alf in it and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So my thing is,
Smurfs.
right.
I remember that.
My thing is, why marijuana? Marijuana, you can't die from it. You can't overdose from it. Like, why did they highlight pills or like drug, like
Because that wasn't as rampant
meth?
at the time.
Meth was '80s. I mean, that was.
Is that when it started?
Meth was like in the late '80s, mid '80s.
I feel like '80s was
Crack,
like
meth.
and cocaine.
Yeah, that was.
I feel like
skyrocket.
90s.
But they highlighted marijuana, and I'm just like, shouldn't they highlight something more?
Because they feel like that's the gateway drug. They feel like the kids are doing that.
Gateway drug is alcohol. Let's just be serious.
For 100%.
Right.
But they're gonna say that, but that's not illegal. So
Yeah.
they're gonna say that this one illegal substance is the gateway into these other things. Because let's be real. If a kid is having a tough life, then they want to escape, and that's why they would go to some of these things. And if that's not enough, then they're going to go to something else. But again, let's be real, 90% of the time, people don't just jump from fucking weed. I'm sorry, they don't jump from weed to cocaine,
Crack,
like
or heroin.
Right, like that's not
Like,
really,
hey, I'm gonna smoke this thing. You know what? I kind of want to shoot something up in my arm. Like,
right, no, it doesn't really work that way. That's just it. And for the majority speaking, I can't say 100% of the time, it's people going through some stuff,
yeah,
and they're looking for an escape. And just back to our original point, I feel like if these kids could get educated on this stuff, that's not the way to handle it, that you need to actually face your problems.
right.
And if you're for, I'm not going to say, I don't want to say for weed, not against weed or anything like that. But if you're for it, then you can educate these kids on the proper use of these types of substances and things like that as well.
Right.
Just like alcohol, just like tobacco. Whereas, the regulations came in, so like we don't really see as many advertisements for at least tobacco, but we still get alcohol all over the place.
Oh yeah, especially during like football season and stuff like that. It's
right. That's
everywhere.
like the main thing. Like,
But going back to the comic book FCC rules and regulations, I mean, like I said, some comics out there have rated rules and regulations and everything like that. But
Right.
just like video games, they have the MMRP, I think it's called, the rating system. I can't remember it right now, but you know, they have M for mature or E for everyone or whatever it's called.
Right.
But we really don't think, and I know we didn't give that many examples, but if the FCC would just ease up a bit, and I get that, you know, family, wholesome, you got to keep it PG, you got to keep it family oriented. You can't go far-fetched with the stuff.
And not just to put the blame on, I don't know, the parents or anything like that, but that really should be more controlled. Like, parents need to be more involved themselves with their kids and educating them on this type of stuff as well.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be leaving that up to the government, and it's just,
I think that's an argument that's been made for many years.
And I love like comics in general. Going back to like what we really like to talk about. All through history, they've been known to try to tackle current issues. Like, you look at the X-Men, and that's dealing with civil rights. You look at a lot of, as we mentioned in the last episode, Milestone. They tried to deal with gang activity. They tried it, and that was during the '90s and stuff, and all that was a problem.
Civil War was dealt with. I want to say, well, X-Men in general have dealt with racism,
Right.
And you know, something
In
like
general,
that.
right.
Same thing with Civil War when that came out in 2006. It was
Right.
like, let the government
Something
take
I
you.
recently learned is the Sentinels from the X-Men. Sentinels.
Sentinels.
They were based off of police brutality. So, like,
I can see that.
Yeah, comics have always been a reflection of their time. And I feel like they should continue to be that without being regulated. Now, they're being a reflection of the time, and we're getting things like Safe Space and these dumbed down issues. Like let's tackle the real problems at hand. What, can you name a comic right now that's really dealing with a real issue?
As of right now, no. I mean,
And that's an issue.
right.
Like,
So do you think Bruce Wayne or Stark Industries, you think they're gonna deal with coronavirus? You think they're gonna have a comic saying like, hey, there's a new virus and Batman can't solve it or Lex Luthor can't solve it. Reed Richards, you've been appointed to solve the corona, because you remember when 9/11 happened?
Right.
You had all
we had stuff about that, for sure. Yeah.
So, do you think there's going to be a coronavirus comic coming
FCC, I don't know if the FCC was the... to answer your question, I think at some point, they're going to have some type of reflection of that. Who knows? That would actually be kind of funny. Hey, Marvel, do something with the Terrigen gas on that.
It's called Inhumans.
Exactly. I mean, it's possible, but it's just, I don't see comics really.
Because comics, you said it, comics are a reflection of society.
Normally.
So we're dealing with this.
Late, they haven't really been from what I've seen. Please, people, comment down below if you know other comics that I should read to catch up on that is dealing with the now. The best thing I can say that is kind of dealing with the now isn't comics, but TV shows. Like, look at
Hold on, so I just read this right now. So, introducing the new Warriors.
Yeah, that's the safe space.
The screen time.
He's the internet one.
Yeah, screen time is obsessed with super teen obsessed super teen who became connected to that screen time. I like the.
So that, I mean, yeah. So
because we talked about this last time, but not really.
Right. So these characters are talking about current events, so to speak.
Snowflake. You know what's funny? Snowflake and safe space. So I always thought snowflake was a derogatory term towards millennials. Right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I was like, isn't that? I'm pretty sure
but
someone
no,
out there.
That's the point. They you need to go watch that.
But this
interview.
this is why I think it's a joke.
I told you the last time to go watch this interview because they literally bring that up specifically. They're trying to take these names and claim it. They're trying to take the derogatory and make it their own,
right,
so to speak. Please go back and watch that interview. I can tell you still haven't watched it.
Be negative. She's like a bat kind of vampire.
Yeah, right.
Creature.
So I guess they are actually.
But wait a minute. Be negative, like be bad. So she's the bad guy because she's negative. I get that.
They are speaking on issues now, and I feel like a lot of the issues that some comics are speaking on, and it has to do with like race swapping, gender swapping. They want more equality, and sexuality. All of these things are being tackled now, and they're trying to make them more accepted, I guess, so to speak, and things like that. But I still just don't see it being tackled like head on the way that it once was.
Yeah, no.
Like it's like they're like dancing around these topics and just like.
And once again, this goes back to that. I think this is a joke. This has to be a joke.
I know
you said it's not, but this is very.
It's dumbed down.
Right, and it's very
super dumbed down.
But it's very like, I don't know. I can't explain it. It's very kid friendly. Very like just, I don't know. Because snowflake and just be negative. Like, can you see Spider-Man in danger and Snowflake comes to the rescue?
Right.
Or can you see Wolverine battling it out, Look, Weapon X, and then here comes Safe Space or Screen Time?
One thing I am going to give these characters is at least they made new characters for this, and they're not just doing this whole gender swap and race swap thing.
Homegirl's new.
On already
Jezebel,
characters.
What's her name? Joker's girlfriend right now?
Punchline,
she's new.
That's what I'm saying. I do enjoy the new characters. I dislike, I'm gonna be real, I dislike the whole gender swap and the race swap, mostly because there are already good characters that they're overlooking.
Clayface, he gender swaps a lot.
But there's a lot of, man, we're getting sidetracked from the FCC, but that's fine. There's a lot of already like characters and stuff like Miles Morales. Let's be perfectly honest about, I'm not gonna say he's an alright character, but all he is a black Peter Parker. You already had characters like Static, who were amazing on their own. Bring them forward. Don't have these characters sit in the shadow of other white characters. Let them actually have their own limelight. You're always gonna, by race swapping and gender swapping, you're always gonna have them sitting underneath the shadow of another freaking white character. Which, if you're really for progression and stuff, either create a new character or use the ones that you already have that are fantastic. All I'm gonna say on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that's all I'm gonna say on that one.
Obviously, he's more passionate than I am. Me personally, fine.
He doesn't.
Well, because you grew up. I never grew up watching Static X. I know it's or Static Shock. Sorry, Static X is the band. But Static Shock. It was on WB. I never grew up watching that show, and
that show dealt with a lot of real issues too in itself, and I can't say that. Yeah, a lot of these shows. That's actually what I was gonna say. Is there are TV shows that are kind of tackling more current events as well. So if you look at like this is what I was gonna say, HBO, The Watchmen. They were battling the whole race thing within that and police brutality, and then the police couldn't draw their weapon without permission, and that ended up getting. They kind of showed both sides of that. Like, police officer died because he wasn't able to draw his weapon to protect himself in time. But at the same time, there's the whole other side of that where police are acting too aggressively, too quickly, and I love those touches on current events and stuff, and shining a light on both sides of these topics. And yeah, we're not getting enough of it though, I don't feel. And when we do get it, it's gonna be on like HBO or on Amazon or on you're gonna have to take a little bit more time to look for it. It's not in the mainstream.
No.
Like, and yeah, just
well, how more mainstream can you get than Netflix? I mean, that's
yeah, but that's not on Netflix.
Right, I'm saying yeah.
What is on Netflix that kind of tackles that stuff? And I'm genuinely asking if you guys have one, hit me with it.
Comment down below.
For sure. And please comment what you guys think on censorship and the FCC and all that, because it continuously seems like it's getting more and more censored to the point where I feel like real life is going to be censored at some point.
It's almost there.
Like
it's almost there.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're going to start load jacking everybody.
And it's like, oh, you're going to have to get some type of. I mean, you should absolutely get consent before doing anything with somebody, but like it's gonna be like, oh, you can't, like, I don't know, your eyes get blurred on anything until it's I consent. Like,
Russell, do I have your consent of using your bathroom?
No.
Damn. Well, with that being said, I gotta go next door. So we're gonna wrap up today's show. Thank you guys so much. Oh, once again, plugging our Instagram and our Facebook and our YouTube. Something has happened on our Instagram. A very, very well-known Gothamite villain has hijacked our Instagram, and he goes on there and he does his little riddles every day, and you have to solve them.
Furious. I can't even solve them.
What a jerk. But thank you guys so much. Russell, anything to plug?
No, man, just our Facebook, Instagram. You can actually check out a few other reviews that we do on the Instagram, IGTV.
I know you have your daily facts.
I do some daily facts on there, as well as in this day current events for comics. Like yesterday was the creative Garfield's birthday. Today there was some other stuff. So yeah, check it out on a day-to-day basis. Get loaded up with some good facts and some good knowledge.
Fan question: who do you guys will think will win in a death battle? Heathcliff or Garfield? You be the judge. Until next time, my name is Chris.
I'm Russ.
We're out of here, and we're Geek Squad. What did you say last time?
I said peace out, Geek Squad.
Peace out, Geek Squad. Peace.